Time for a quick commercial.
That's right, Ellie. This episode is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. And they'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. To get started, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today.
Happy Friday, everyone. It's time for my daddy's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Lessons for Success show. I'm your host, Adam Wardlaw, a teacher and football coach from South Carolina. 2019 was a huge first year for the show, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. In the United States alone, the show is represented in 37 states, and around the world, the show is heard in 13 different countries. When I began the podcast, I could not have anticipated this type of reach, and I'm thankful for you guys who tune in to every episode. Season 2 of the podcast is coming soon, featuring a variety of new guests who will be sharing their stories of success and the lessons they learned along the way. I've also started producing quick daily episodes in order to provide some lessons for you guys about different subjects throughout the week. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast, and if you're listening on your iPhone right now, I encourage you to leave a 5-star rating. You can also keep up with the show by following it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook using the hashtag L4S Show. Remember, that's number 4. Now let's start the show. Welcome back, everybody. It's finally Friday, so I want to send you guys into the weekend with some inspiring news from around the world. This week's feel-good story comes from Atlanta, Georgia, where an Uber driver had her college tuition balance paid off and thus allowed her to finish her associate's degree. I saw part of this story on the television at the YMCA earlier this week, and I knew that I had to share it with you guys. LaTanya Young is a 43-year-old single mom from the Atlanta, Georgia area. She's been taking classes at Georgia State University in her quest to improve her education. LaTanya was studying criminal justice, but her educational career was cut short after she had to drop out because she couldn't afford to pay some of the fees to the school. She was unable to continue taking classes because as she got to the point of being able to pay off what she owed the school, there would be a need in her household that diverted these funds. That's where this story gets great. LaTanya was picking up a rider named Kevin Esch after a soccer game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. LaTanya shared with Kevin that she was driving Uber in the evening on top of her day job as a hairstylist in order to make ends meet. A few days after this ride, LaTanya was informed by the school that her fees had been paid and she could resume taking classes. She later found out that it was Kevin who took care of these payments. She graduated recently with her associate's degree, and Kevin was even able to attend. LaTanya is now planning on continuing her education and hopes to earn a bachelor's degree. What a great story this is, and there are a lot of lessons that we can pull from it. The first lesson would have to be about the determination of Miss Young, a single mom working 2 jobs in order to make ends meet while also earning a college degree. That's the definition of being gritty. The second lesson, of course, has to do with the unselfishness of Mr. Esch, who paid off LaTanya's debts to the college. It just goes to show that although you may hear many negative stories from the world today, there are inspiring stories still happening all around us. What's some inspiring stories you've seen in the news lately? Reach out to the show on social media to share. Have a good weekend, everyone, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. Well, guys, that's it for this episode of Lessons for Success. Don't forget to reach out to the show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at L4S Show. Again, that's the number 4. Feel free to share your thoughts on this episode. All the episodes are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or anywhere else podcasts can be found. So be sure to like, subscribe, and rate. Thank you again for listening to the Lessons for Success Show podcast.